Hello, and welcome to Forward Moves, a podcast hosted by Lina Nahhas and Haddad that traces the journey, the successful journey of thought leaders in the creative economy of the Middle East, their path, their achievements, and what life hacks they deploy along that path. We are at the end of season 2, and we have been blessed and privileged to welcome so many amazing people. I'm sure, Lina, you would agree with me. And it's almost, this is the 25th episode.
I know.
Remember when we started back in December?
Wow.
It's amazing. And
It's
we thought
surreal.
it is surreal, but also gratifying at the same time. And all these beautiful conversations we had. And we thought the best way to wrap up this season and send everybody off to their summer holidays is to kind of go back to the key themes we have discussed over the past 3 months or so of season 2. And I'm very happy that you thought that was a brilliant idea.
Always. It's
always.
the greatest. It's not just brilliant. It's one of the best.
since we're in the superlative mode. I love that. I think what could help us in do that, and although we know what are the key themes, but we kind of shuffled the cards and we'll pick one of them at a time and try to retrace what we remember. It's going to be tough from the episodes and what our take is on these. Do you want to do the honors of...
I love it. And I just want to say one thing before even reaching out, which is it always touches me when you say there are common themes, because to me it's just a testimony to the fact that we're all the same. Like those themes are coming through every single episode, if not, since the beginning, and if not in every encounter. And it's just so beautiful to witness that, but always expressed in its own different nuance. Each person comes with their own essence. So
it's true. No, you're right. And it's a very good point. And I think it's going to go on like this.
Yes, that's right.
As we always do, right? But because what the audience doesn't know, our listeners don't know, is these are not scripted. Yes, we do have, questions drafted in advance. We do have an idea about what each guest has accomplished and what can they share as stories. But the conversations we have with them are very organic.
Very.
And to your point, to be able to extract common themes from, in this case, 12 different guests, it really highlights the commonality.
That's right.
That unite all of us.
And how unique, because not a single one gets old. These are themes that just don't get old. So I'm going to reach out and see.
Go ahead.
Which theme. Okay, so the point is I can do this.
Yeah.
And what is the story here, Raja? You lead me. Do I read it and then answer it, or read it and ask you, or just...
Well, why don't you just wing it?
Okay. Okay. Creativity as advocacy. Yeah.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Really good. Really good. It touches the heart because it reaches purpose beyond the identity part. It reaches like this action-oriented creativity for the sake of what cause,
Exactly. And also how often is creativity used to shift a narrative, right?
Yeah.
And reclaiming probably a space that was once ours. And also, and I think that's a word that you love using, spotlighting, underrepresented ideas, communities, gatherings, whatever you want to call it. So I think, Sunny, you talked about that in our second episode of the season when she was referencing 9/11 and the moment that she was going through, and then how today is another, 9/11-ish,
opportunity.
Moment.
Yeah.
And also Nada was talking about that, especially from the angle of storytelling, how creativity, art, and design is about storytelling. And I think the example she gave is when she visited the craftsmen in Japan. Nada Dubs, our fourth episode, I think. I can't remember now.
I can't remember the numbers either.
And how they, the stores in Japan would feature the artisan working on the creation so that they have the opportunity of telling the story of their work, of their creation. And I think that's where art and creativity as advocacy
Yeah.
come together.
I love the idea that it's making a statement. It's like creativity making a statement, but without the rah, rah, rah
Yeah,
in
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
face. It's more like we need to, and also to be of service, to be of something beyond the art itself.
Yeah.
And usually that takes a life of its own. I mean, I remember also when Shelley was speaking,
Yes.
Shelley Frost,
Yes.
right? She had no idea. She did have something in mind in that UN choir that happened, and
Correct.
but the advocacy came through because there was a heated moment for Palestine, and even though she was trying to cover up, it emerged on its own. So
Yeah.
the art, it's almost like art has its own life in making a statement instinctively, and we're just there to co-create and co-direct, and it's beyond us. It's beyond us. So I love the fact that it's way beyond us, and making a statement, making a difference. Making a statement is making a
Well,
difference.
I wonder, Lina, does it really have to be a statement, or can it be a commentary? You know, I mean,
I understand what you
you know,
mean.
the
Yeah,
difference between the
yeah.
two, right?
Well,
Some-
commentary, I mean, I love that question, by the way. It's juicy. But, you know, for me, commentary is just stating what is there.
Yeah.
It's almost like a documentary. Here's a commentary of stating a truth of sorts. Statement is doing something with it.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the truth, and here's what can be done with it. And there's a little bit of an action that comes through somehow, at least in my vocabulary.
No, I totally agree with you. But then, you know me, I'm gonna have a follow up to that.
Of course you will.
And then I will. I
be
think
disappointed.
we'll never get through the stack
I'll
of
be
cards, right?
disappointed if you didn't.
Because here's the thing, you know, what is the role of the creator at some point? Is the role of the creator to put out that commentary out there, and then allow the public to interact, and through that interaction, that commentary becomes a statement, right? Probably, and often we find creations that end up having a different statement or identity, if you really want to go further, than what was originally intended when it was done. Which also brings another question: is that the process versus the outcome? And I think I'm sure there's something in there.
You can't own the outcome. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole idea of creation, is that it is a perpetual movement. You don't understand.
Exactly.
You put it out there. You just don't know where it goes and how it defines itself, how it gets re-articulated. And I love that about art. And that's why advocacy through art is a lot more palpable, personal, touching, because we each come with our own statement. And yet, there are artists that are blatantly so.
Totally.
And so there's like a range. And I love the fact that there is a range. There's the subtle statement, and then there's a not so subtle statement that with not so subtle call to action.
Exactly.
And I love that, because
Actually,
we need it.
That card is really nice.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Art as advocacy. Shall we pull up another
Yalla,
one?
go. It's
I'll go
yours.
for it.
Your
So how do we do that? We move the
You
mic.
move the mic.
I don't have
You
to move
reach
with the,
out.
I don't have to move with the mic.
No, and you have to pull it back with you.
I have to pull it back. Ooh, this
what
is
is
up your alley.
Which one?
Spirituality and sacred practice.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I don't even know how to start that, because it's true. I mean, when we talked about spirituality, especially when, you know, we talked with Fadi,
Yes.
when we talked with Mo Maktabi,
Yes.
even with Shelley, you know,
Yes.
Shelley Frost, when she was telling us about her Iceland voyage. We also talked about it with Nada Dibis,
meditation.
with Mishari al-Nassar.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And more recently, you were away when I had a conversation with Zain Masoud, and how creating gardens are an act of the divine, you know. And I think we quoted John Bernard Shaw, who said that if you want to seek God, you know, go to a garden. So spirituality and sacred practice through art and creativity.
See, I saw it in all of them, from even season 1. In every single one, there's a level of, like I always say, the ethereal.
Yeah.
That is not. It's not even like it's very ethereal, and it comes through with every single one of them. And the beautiful thing about spiritual practice is touching that spirit, touching the invisible. And what better than an artist to actually feel that because they're so sensitive to the surrounding. And I always say, you know, there's a quote by my teacher that says, life is art, life is sacred art. And what better way, and it says practice, right?
Yes.
What better way to practice life than treating every moment as sacred?
Exactly.
There is truly a sanctity in creation. We're co-creating with the biggest creator of all at the end of the day.
We are living that creation, and we are keep on contributing to
That's
that.
right.
And what I like is that throughout the season, we had different manifestations of that, whether through the music with Fadi and Shelley, whether through the craftsmanship with Nada and Mo when he was telling us about the carpet weavers, whether through the personal journey of people like Mishari or Zain. It manifested in different forms of art and creativity that we have discussed throughout our show.
Yeah, and there's a level of introspection. Like the moment you say spiritual, the invisible, the undefinable, there's a level of, of exploration that's way deeper than anything can, and it shows in the art.
Yeah.
It shows in the outcome, and it's just a beautiful meditation on life. So art becomes something beyond, and again, maybe it turns into advocacy, maybe it turns into something else. It doesn't matter, but it becomes something beyond the actual material thing that it, like Nada was saying, it carries an essence. It's fiya nafas, as we say.
Yes.
And each person's nafas is in it. Nafas meaning spirit, breath.
But I love what you're saying because in simple terms, art is something very palpable. You see it, you live it, but by the fact that it transcends you and it transcends your emotions, it gets to that level of the undefinable, as you have said. Even if we put a label on it, even if we frame it, it has that paradox, which, I mean, I'm not a pastor, but isn't spirituality all about dealing and navigating paradoxes?
And also, yes, exactly. And also, I can't help but remember, I just came from Barcelona, La Sagrada Familia I was waking up to every morning. And again, speaking to perpetual movement, even in spirituality, even let's say this piece of art is built in a structure that's not moving, but everything in it is alive and moving.
Right.
And every visit, every new morning, I look at the Sagrada Familia. Every morning, it's a whole different experience.
Right.
And it's the same with that piece of beautiful carpet. It's the same with that beautiful piece of furniture that Nada's making.
Or that song.
Or that song.
Hymn, or even better, with that silence.
Exactly.
Let's pick up another one.
Okay, is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Okay, move
the
the
microphone.
mic. Reach out. Take one card. This one is your favorite, actually, or one of your favorites, I think. Mentorship and community.
Oh, community is something that came up often. And mentorship is something that probably I think you did. I pushed it.
I think you did.
No, because I'll tell you why. I mean, here's the thing, and you know it probably, but I love reminding myself, is I do believe that in the notion of transmission and the idea of we have amazing talent. So it's not enough to tell the story of that talent, but it's also to provide a platform or provide a vehicle for that talent to be transmitted, to be passed on, for that knowledge to be passed on, for that passion to inspire others to have passion. So that's why I often try to find, and so what? Okay, so you've achieved so much. How's that? As you were inspired by others, how are you inspiring others?
Yeah.
And that's why I push often.
I love that you push it. I'm not. Relax. I'm not criticizing. I love it. It's good to have an agenda. It's a positive one.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
although you did come across like you were criticizing it.
Well, Raja, let me take that back. Let me just glorify this topic. I'll glorify it.
Go for it.
Community. I mean, the thing is, again, we spoke about art as advocacy. We spoke about art even as a spiritual practice. We spoke about art as creativity. But the thing is, it has a life of its own, as we said. And where else but community does it need to land? And where does it grow? How does it grow?
Yeah.
And as we grow, and I don't know about you, as I grow older, and as the art grows, there's almost like that yearning for it to grow even further. And for that to happen, it has to happen through mentorship. It has to happen through giving it forward to somebody else to grow it in their own essence and their own nuance. And it's building up. It's layers again. It's one layer building on the other, one layer building on the other. And it's infinite. I don't see it as being one thing. So mentorship is just trusting that the work is going to go and almost like be immortal in its service.
Of course. And I wouldn't want to dissociate, the card says mentorship and community. I think they have to be together because we look, and I think, we're talking with Nahhas about mentorship and the role of mentorship in bringing a community together because, there's the archaic definition of mentorship. That's a teacher, student. I know, you don't know, and then I think Mishari gave us that wonderful example when he was a young, inspiring, aspiring designer. Even he didn't know that he's actually an aspiring designer, and he saw that wedding planner. He reached out for him and he shut him down. You remember that story?
Yeah.
So and then and I think Naz told us about the different stages of mentorship and the role of mentors, and even Chef Ahmed Halawa, was talking about community and the role of how the community passes on the knowledge and the stories. It's all about storytelling. So I wouldn't decouple them, right? And I think mentorship will be properly understood in the context of transmission, but in the context of knitting communities together.
Yeah, it's I like how it's knitting communities together. And, for me, it's this continuity. Like it's like this weaving of continuity. And each time it might look different, but it's this weaving, and it can only happen together. It can only happen like with the back and forth, that kind of conversation that happens between people, between themes, they're the bridges again.
Yeah, I like that idea of continuity. It's sustainability. I think, Sunny and Asma, they were talking about Asma Shabibi and Sani Rahbar. You remember at the start of season 2, it was around the time of Art Dubai. So we had Asma Shabibi, Sani Rahbar, and they really took us back in time at the beginnings of Art Dubai and the beginning of the art scene. And little did they know back then that by being the first galleries and gallerists in the region, they were kind of planting the seeds of this community of coming together. And I think that's it, the continuity and sustainability through art and creativity. I always said, I read, I should remember where I read it, but the survival of Homo sapien as a species was through storytelling.
Right.
Hunters-gatherers would go out and they will come back to their community and tell a story of what.
So you think storytelling holds communities together?
Totally.
And communities hold the story together as well. The storytelling.
Of course. Of course.
It's also like another
it's
synergistic.
so interrelated. Exactly. One feeds on the other. I think Chef Ahmed was telling us about, preserving the identity of Palestinian cuisine one plate at a time. How can you do that if you don't tell the story of that plate?
And also what's growing, when I hear you also, the community is growing. For example, that plate of hummus is not just Palestinian anymore.
No, it's not.
Somehow it's grown to be a whole community's expression as well. So it's almost like we don't own it. We don't really own it. We don't own the story either.
We don't own the story.
We don't, but it's just lovely that we're able to share it with the knowledge that it might be taken on board by others and growing the community further and the story bigger.
I couldn't agree more. Let me pick up one more
stealing.
card. Not stealing. No, I'll take one more card. Oh, we were talking about identity.
What was it? What is the
identity
card?
And cultural reclamation?
Oh my God. We were just talking about that.
This is exactly what we're talking about. It's exactly what we're saying. And again, it's, again, what forges an identity is the story, right? It's, the transmission of story from one generation to another, from one community to another. That's what makes the community grow. That's what gives the community its own identity. And I think we talked about that with all of our guests, right? And, and I think what came... I shouldn't say I think all the time, but what came across.
You can say whatever you want.
What came across. It's ours. Is how can one preserve their own identity by being curious about other identities, by connecting to other identities? Because there are two schools of thoughts: the very kind of, I don't know what's the term, but, it's like keep my identity to myself and that's it. I can only be defined by that. And the other school of thought is that, no, my identity can become richer by engaging with other identities.
Are you talking specifically about cultural identities?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I would like to say that there's third and fourth and fifth and a million type of schools of thought.
Oh, of course.
Because in every moment lends itself to a different choice.
Yeah.
For example, when we're going through times like this, like it was mentioned by Sunny at 9/11, like it was mentioned even by Naz several times in our meeting, when there's a threat, or Chef Halawi, when there is some level of threat that this cultural identity might be corroded or forgotten or not held sacred art anymore, there's this level of let's gather around again. Come on, let's huddle up. Let's come back to it. Let's come back to it in its basic ways, and then see what happens when we reach out again. So it's like there's always this collapse to preserve, and then there's the expansion.
And to build on.
And the expansion, I feel, comes when at times of comfort, times of luxury, times of ease, times of ability to introspect a little bit. But when in times of fear and tension, it might be a need to hold it in.
Because it's you can imagine I have a different view on that.
Yes.
Because it's identity and cultural reclamation. I think by coupling them together like this, we have to keep them together. So I'll meet you on that point, because by preserving the identity, by huddling, we are reclaiming that cultural identity.
Yes.
Whereas I'm looking at it differently, in a way, I don't want to say broader, because that would suggest that you're not looking at it in a broader way, but in the sense that an identity cannot only I can say it less contentious way. An identity cannot
say it in the most contentious way. I dare you.
An identity cannot. An identity cannot survive unless it feeds off other identities, right? Cultures cannot be monocultures, and that's the whole debate around the world today, at different levels of aggressivity, at different levels of interpretation or misinterpretation. So it's good to huddle in order to reach out, but I see it as a parallel track. You can huddle, but you should not forget that for you to survive, you need to reach out.
I agree. I agree. It's not at all contentious, Raja. To me,
it wasn't.
No, not at all. You weren't contentious enough. You weren't even close. No, what I'm saying is, at times it goes in, at times it goes out, at times it's in the middle, depending on the situation. We have to keep it elastic. Otherwise, if it's too rigid, it's dangerous. Whether it's always reaching out to other cultures, we're losing the essence.
You dilute the essence.
Or always hanging on, then you're just absolutely not progressing. But, there's a limit to melting pots as well. It's kind of like when Nada was talking about East and West.
Yes.
There's a synergy. There are some things that are synergistic to one's essence, and other things that are completely off the charts. And it's so good to be able to discern. And maybe that's what life's journey is all about.
But it is. And it's, you mentioned Nada because we talk about the East and East.
Yes, East and East, different ways.
And the duality. I know we talked about that with Naz as well.
Yeah.
And I know that whenever I would bring up duality, you will talk about
plurality or whatever,
sorry. No, plurality. You're right, plurality, and that brings up the multi-layering. And we talked about that with Mo as well, Muhammad Maktabi, and we talked about
especially his story with his dad.
Oh, absolutely,
I love that.
Absolutely, So an identity is not a singular thing; it's a plural thing, right? Yeah. And it cannot be either or, and as in the definition of duality.
Maybe it's reclaiming and reimagining as well. Sometimes it's reimagining, sometimes it's reclaiming, sometimes it's remembering. There are lots of R's.
I think remembering is good.
Sometimes it's just pure remembrance.
R is a glorious letter.
R is a great... Oh, Raja, don't get me started with the R's. Is it time for another card?
Yes, I think that's our cue to move to another one.
Yeah, I'm like, blushing. Okay, is it my turn to pick a card? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you're getting the hang of the microphone. That's good.
Look at it. Ooh, legacy and the future. Legacy and the future. So what do you understand with that? That was one of the themes picked out. What is it that you picked in that?
I mean, in a way, I kind of, it's linked to the other themes, right? It's linked to identity. It's linked to this notion of continuity that you just introduced. It's linked to mentorship and community, because that is what will keep a legacy going. I mean,
What is legacy
what
to
is
you?
legacy? I was just going to say,
I've
what is
always wondered about that word,
don't
and
know.
I
I
feel
don't
like
have-
it's such a masculine word.
Is it?
I always feel that men want to leave a legacy. It's always
Oh,
men's legacies and
not
legacy.
at all.
So what do you understand?
No,
by it?
legacy
I
is
feel it.
legacy is simply what you just said. Continuity
Right.
is how we make sure that an identity is sustained, a culture is sustained, a lived experience is transmitted. We often forget that an experience does not exist in a vacuum. An experience is lived,
Yeah.
and it loses its value if it's not shared. So that's what
Is it
legacy
what's
is.
left behind? Because whenever I hear legacy, I always feel like it's something big. It's like the pyramids. We want to leave the pyramids behind. We want to leave a legacy of a big success. When for me, the what continuity can happen with that thread and needle and the rug. So it's not like, for me, legacy is such a glorified desire and yearning. And I'm sorry to be saying this, but I often hear it with men. And this lineage, legacy through offspring,
Well,
and keeping the name.
Maybe it's time to reshape that.
Let's reshape
Yeah,
it.
because
Let's reshape legacy. What do you like? What do we want to say about legacy in the future?
it's
Such
I
a
think
heavy word.
legacy and the future. I think it's reshaping future landscapes.
Okay.
Yeah, reshaping, like we talked about, reclaiming, cultural reclamation, but also cultural reimagined.
Yeah.
Culture remembered. I think that what probably would constitute a legacy. We talked about that. I mean, it's interesting because when I had Noor Swade, you were away on that episode, and we talked about her domain of venture capitalists, but also how she supports founders who support the creative community. So not necessarily creators, but everybody that contributes to the creative economy. And she mentioned also that kind of that continuity, that sustainability, but how an idea live on. And I think that's what legacy
I
is.
like that. I like the idea that lives on.
Yeah.
Because it opens it to a range. It could be a small idea, a small seed that has the biggest ripple effect later on.
Exactly.
In the future,
Yeah.
if not seen by us now. And it could be as big or as small as an idea. And also an idea could be the remembrance, and could be the imagining, could be the reclaiming, could be all of it. It could be something different, it could be something new. So it's like leaving behind the seeds that we know, and leaving behind the seeds that are reimagined, and maybe even leaving a seed of mystery somewhere in there for life to plant its seed in. So leaving it open. I like that. Can we replace legacy then with what did you say the idea is?
Yeah, what did you say? It's transmitting, reshaping the future, letting the idea live on.
Letting the
Yeah.
idea live on.
The idea to live on. I think also Meshari talked about, designing for meaning, but also for this emotional connectivity. And again, we're circling around the word continuity. Having the idea live on, that's continuity, and that's connectivity. That's communities weaving together. Yeah.
Why are we so obsessed with continuity?
Because I think that's what defines us as humans, as a species, right? And that's why I like the idea of legacy, but in this new redefined term here, ideas are meant to solve an immediate problem. That's what defines. We're creative, and we're creative because we're curious. We talked about curiosity, right? And creativity. We're curious, hence we're creative, hence we address challenges and how we're. If we don't transmit that knowledge or that notion of curiosity, we won't be able to
But
move
then,
on.
I'm being the devil's advocate here, but
You are.
I'm going to say, but what happened to the idea of impermanence? What happens to the idea that nothing really lives on?
Impermanence. I didn't say that on my card.
It's in part of the spirituality
There you
part.
go.
But
I like every now and then you come up with a new word. Like there was a word you brought up, like attuned. Attuned. So
Because
tell me about
the highest form of spirituality, if you don't mind me speaking about that for a second, is when when you become everything in your lifetime, but then let it all go so you can become nothing, because nothing is permanent. And it's like the more we learn this lesson of impermanence, nothing lasts, nothing should last, because otherwise we're attached. The more likely we are to grow and transcend into something a lot more eternal.
But here you're talking about the physicality of continuity.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm shaping continuity beyond the physicality of things.
Even ideas. It's almost like we really want them to continue on. And I get it. I'm playing devil's
I
advocate.
understand. But it's allowing me to try and articulate my thought different, because I know I totally agree with what you're saying. Continuity may be misinterpreted as static, whereas, as our title of this podcast shows, we're all about movement. We're all about moving forward, right? Yeah. And what I mean by continuity of the idea living on is allowing that movement to continue. Whereas I see where you're coming from, that continuity by having the same idea living on can lead to, lack of movement. Yeah. And that's not the idea. That's not the idea. No pun intended. Is it my turn to pick up a card?
Yes, it is.
I think it is. Emotional resilience and inner work. Isn't that related to spirituality, the way we were talking about it?
I suppose. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of our guests on this season, Fadi, Mishali, Nada,
Nahhas and
Nahhas,
more.
all of them actually, all of them have, and the inner work doesn't necessarily have to be spirituality in the way that, let's remove the spiritual, mystical part of it, but just the awareness and the presence and the contemplation, just bringing in awareness, bringing in consciousness. Yeah. And we spoke about this.
Self-awareness.
We spoke about this in our own exchange last time, which seems to be a common theme. It's it's inner work, but it's not like, I always feel the inner work is not exclusive to inner. There's all that awareness outwards.
And then, you're right. I think we where was it again? Emotional resilience and inner work. It's really that awareness. You're right. That's awareness, vulnerability. We talked about that. I think Mishari talked about that. Yeah. Nada talked about that. Nas talked about. Everybody talked about that. And how often, again, you said legacy is such a masculine world, and in a masculine world, vulnerability is misinterpreted as weakness, which is, for me, vulnerability. And we talked about that in our last, one-to-one. Yeah. Vulnerability is the biggest source of learning. Because
huge.
If you're not self-aware, you're not vulnerable, you're not open to new ideas.
And also it takes a lot of courage. Yeah. Because it takes a lot of courage to be human, as we said also before. And being able to, and it takes reflection to get there to that vulnerability. It takes maturity to get to that vulnerability. And vulnerability is resilience, because it allows us to dig into the range of being human in every single situation and take what it needs to meet the moment.
I will even stretch it also to change, because often, across the disciplines, across the guests we had, everybody told us about a moment in their life where they took the leap and they changed. Yeah. Whether Mishari, who started studying finance and then ended up designing. Chef Badr Najib. Just the episode before this one, it was talking about how he, changed from an accountant destined career to one of the celebrated Emirati pastry and chocolate
Wow.
chef.
Yeah.
Asma told us about her start as a
That
corporate
change.
law
Yeah.
into the world of art, Naz as well. So there was that change at the moment in life, and that requires courage.
Yeah.
And you don't do it unless you are self-aware and you're open to failure or the
Yes.
possibility of failure.
Yes. Yes.
Or am I stretching it too much?
I think failure comes along anyway. We don't expect it. We don't go seek it. We don't even keep ourselves open to it. But when it happens, if you are aware and have done that inner work and you have done the vulnerability work, it becomes magic.
Yeah.
That's when you recognize. That's why I say it takes maturity.
It takes maturity.
Courage and maturity. And if it does, it's not accompanied by maturity at the beginning, certainly it will bring in maturity. Certainly. Yeah.
It's true. Let's
So
take
where
one
are we
more card.
at? Are we? Shall I take one more?
Let's take one more card. I think we
Okay,
can
are
take
we
one
okay
more
with
card.
time?
Yeah, we're good.
All
Oh my God,
right,
it's like I'm
okay.
the timekeeper.
Well, of course, and I trust you. Oh, passion versus profession.
Oh,
The two P's.
the two P's. Oh,
Passion versus profession.
is that a tension between the two? Is there a tension between the two?
Well, only if, again, there is incongruence, there isn't awareness, I think. If when I mean, like you just said, most of them went from one career that was prescribed to them that was so different than jumping into something like a passion. And I believe you and I have done the same. And were they in tension? Are they in tension? They can be. They can be in opposite to each other if one is yearning for one when one is in another. You know what I mean? If there's a
but
yearning.
tension doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing, right?
No.
Because and it goes back to awareness, because a lot of those we spoke to, they highlighted that at some point they felt that yes, they pursue their passion, but can I make a living out of that?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And I think if I link it back to one of the earlier cards about community, and maybe that's the role of community. That's the role of how can we provide the platform or that support network for people who are pursuing their passion to be able to actually make it a sustainable source of income, for lack of a better term, turn it into a business. I think it's a healthy tension, but it's also linked to awareness that, how can I balance intuition with business sense or business, for lack of a better term. I think, both Nada and Noor spoke about that, but I think there's a role for communities in that,
Yeah.
and mentors.
And I feel there's a lot of pressure, especially in today's world, that you have to pursue your passions.
Yes.
There's also that.
Yeah.
So yes, I love it when things work out. I love it when we can discover this inner fire and turn it into a business. I love it. Because what better than waking up in the morning and going, I'm not going to work. I'm going to my passion, right?
I'm going to do what I love to do.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's so much pressure and hype around that people who don't necessarily want that.
Yeah.
They do want your regular, they want to separate both. This is my passion that keeps me alive in certain moments. And this is my profession that keeps me alive in a different way.
Right.
And so they're like, going back to your question, are they in tension? No, it's how we feed off them and what we want out of each. And passion doesn't always have to be a profession.
I think instead of I don't know what the card said.
Passion versus profession.
Yeah. Instead of like talking about the tension, instead of versus, passion versus, we can talk about the balance of passion and profession. And profession makes it a little bit like too suity, blah, blah, blah. It's like practicality.
And some people don't want passion, Rasha.
Yeah.
Some
Why?
people-
Who wouldn't want that?
Well, there's a lot of people where passion or being passionate is too much. It's just too much. It's
Is
not
it
balanced.
being passionate or emotional?
I wonder if this is cultural. Well, that's the thing.
There you go.
I mean, that's the thing. I remember once somebody said, passion is too obsessive. And you
Yes.
know, and it is because you want to like eat it. You want to whatever it is that you're passionate about. You want to pursue it. Your desire, and you know, not everybody. And that's no judgment. This is a complete
course.
neutral comment.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to move in that notch, right? Maybe it's too much fire. Like, and this goes back to cultural, by the way. There's a whole different range,
Spectrum of
passion,
cultural interpretation of passion.
of passion. There's there's apathetic societies all the way to overly passionate. My daughter actually says that. You know, she's like, "Mom,
Overly passionate.
you're Middle Eastern. Your family is so passionate, and they always talk loud." And then her dad is from New Zealand, and they're just so quiet. And there's this level of tonality that's very pragmatic, very you know. And both serve their own, but they're different. Yeah.
They are. I love your passion, Lina. Thank you so much. And it's
I love
really,
yours as well.
I think it's our passion to tell stories, to transmit stories, to live our identity, to shape cultures. And I'm pretending a lot of grand things here is what made us enjoy this podcast. And having moments like this.
And having the comfort to speak our truth.
Of course. And I think this is what each of our guests shared with us.
Yes.
They all shared the truth, their truth.
Yeah.
And I hope that by sharing these lived experiences, that will allow for the stories to go on, that will allow for ideas to pass on. And inspiration.
And many of them did say, to be honest, and again, this is not a pat on the back as much as just the ability to say that the truth, when it's spoken in a comfortable setting, many of them said that I said things about myself that I never said before.
Exactly, absolutely.
Or my family members listened and said, wow, we didn't know this about you. And this is, again, just a direction on how we are so much more than what we think we are.
Than we are conditioned to be.
Yes, or to express.
Or to express. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, sir.
Well. This has been Forward Moves, a podcast hosted by Lina Nahhas and Rasha Haddad. We're hoping that season 2 has been as inspiring as season 1. And if you do like it, download it, share it with your friends, and definitely give us a 5 stars rating. Until then, keep on moving forward.